25, 40, 35, 30. He's gonna go. It's time, people. Feel it.
Big Red Junkies.
Day by day. Day by day. He gets better and better. He gets better and better. Team is KBB. Team is KBB. If we die, we die.
Man, put a child in that. Put him in the aisle.
Bring that trophy back to Lincoln.
How sweet it is to be back with you guys.
I love hearing that song, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
It's been too long.
It really is provocative.
It has been a long time, guys. Welcome back to the most recent episode. This is, I believe, only the second episode of the year so far that's actually made it on air. Had some computer difficulties with the last one that we recorded about a month and a half ago, but we've just had all kinds of life happening. Cheers. I didn't mean to stop you.
No,
boys.
you're good. You're good. Cheers to everybody.
We're excited. Spring has wrapped up. We are recording this on Thursday night, post spring game, and yeah, I mean,
156 days away from the season starting.
I feel like we have no information after spring compared to what we're used to having for the last 3 years.
Okay, so you changed it completely.
Yes, compared to what we're used to.
Compared to what we're used to, yes, I agree.
We were completely chock full of content and info and interviews and walk arounds the field and 2 years ago we had Chasing 3 going on. I think we had 6 episodes by this point.
Yeah.
And there was all kinds of craziness and excitement going on, and
Outside of the spring game and a couple of press conferences, we really haven't heard anything.
No.
we're getting nothing in the press conferences.
No.
Well, and even in the handful of press conferences that happen in the handful weeks, 15 practices, 4 or 5 weeks that they did that through. We had the press conferences, but nothing really came from them.
Yeah.
No.
Everything was very quiet on purpose. Whether it's on purpose as far as, hey, we just need to focus on shit, or there's been other stuff in the athletic department that's kind of been going on that has spiked everybody's interest. So there's a handful of different reasons as to why a whole lot of information hasn't come out as far as the football program goes.
Yeah. I think a big thing for me that still seems strange is even post-spring game, the Matt Rhule press conferences have felt like the Matt Rhule press conferences at the end of the year after losses.
Mm-hmm.
He seems almost grumpy, almost irritated to have to be on the podium. It's borderline, minus the profanity-laced sideline tirades, Bo-esque. That's what it reminds me of a little bit, is more of his press conferences, where it's just like, yeah, cool, I have to be up here, so I'm doing this right now.
Yeah, I mean...
Not giving short, shitty answers.
I was going to say, that's kind of where I was going to go with that, because he's not looking at reporters and going, that's a stupid fucking question, and I'll give you three words to answer it. And then, I mean, he still goes into it, answers very well and stuff like that. But I get your point, yeah.
Well, I mean, you can't change a tiger's stripes.
Yeah.
He likes to talk.
Yeah.
At the same time, he seems like this seems like an all business, no fluff.
Yeah, I took it as business, not as being down or as something right after a loss where he just took it on the chin. Like, he's out there, he's focused on the team, he's doing his thing.
Yeah, I don't really want to be here, but I know that that's part of my job, so I'm going to be here.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do my job. I'm not going to act like a freaking child like some other coaches in the past have. I'm just going to do my job, and we're going to move on, and then I'll talk to you when I talk to you.
Yeah. Also, there's 6 months until football. So.
Yeah.
And I mean, I get it. This is an offseason that is really going to be kind of career defining for Matt Rhule.
Yeah.
Because if you don't launch here at Nebraska, if you don't at least get Nebraska back to a place where when you leave the fan base doesn't hate you, you're screwed.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's going to fall hard and he's going to wind up at a non-Power 5 school.
Well, and I think that the fans, especially after how last season ended, we don't expect this to be a giant blowout season coming up in the next year. But continued progress will save his job and will keep him moving forward.
Oh, I mean, as far as saying it, he's not going anywhere.
That's my point.
No matter what after this.
But if we're talking about a career-defining season, if it goes awful and he wins 3 games,
no,
I was going to say, let's unpack that though. If he only wins 3 games,
which is not a thing, it's not going to happen.
But let's just
about that.
If you want to say it, let's just say he goes 3-9. he's still not getting fired because they're not paying that $70 million buyout.
Maybe you're right.
So
Or also, they shouldn't, in my opinion.
I completely agree. But so he's not going anywhere after this year, no matter how much you like it or don't like it. You know, the negative little bitches that is the vocal minority of this program so far. You guys,
Fan base, I think.
Yeah, yes, but
you little negative bitches
You
on the
bitches
team.
of the fan base.
you guys, you know, again, you vocal minority that are going to be negative as hell just to be negative as hell. You guys can just fuck off and just be quiet. And by the way, I'll see you on September 5th at the Ohio game because you say you don't care now, but you will when the season starts. So, okay, cool.
And to back up people that do actually care and that do like to gripe a lot, some people just like to bitch.
Yeah. I mean, hell, I'm not saying that I'm not one of them that likes to, you know, poke fun and all those things and stuff like that, but there's also an extent to it.
Yeah.
Like at some point you have to just be like, okay, cool. You don't care. Then shut the fuck up about it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, when you spend every waking minute of your existence saying how much you don't care and how much your family doesn't care and your friends don't care. By the way, you have 3.5 friends and family members. So that doesn't count as a whole big vocal minority or vocal majority, I guess I should say.
I didn't mean to go down this giant
Sorry.
tirade.
I'm
through the
very
show.
sensitive about this.
When
because I'm
BJ,
so
when
fucking
BJ
tired of
said
it.
that Matt Rhule looked sad, I didn't take it that way. I
Oh,
just took
God,
it as
I
business.
just-
Okay,
mindset.
maybe sad's a bad word. He just doesn't seem himself. And that's the self that we've been used to for the last
Well, he
three
also
years.
that right there, you're right.
the first year that he was here, he said he didn't like all of the inside information that was coming out of the program with all of the I forget what it was the first year, the on-3 type stuff. It was or the three
Chasing
more
three?
chasing 3, whatever it
Oh,
was.
yeah, chasing 3, yeah.
All that nonsense that he was like, yeah, I don't like all this inside access that everybody's getting. That's going to go away eventually. Now it's gone away.
I mean, that is true, but he's always been the super friendly, super likable guy on the
Mhm.
podium.
Yep.
This is a different kind of guy.
We as a fan base have not been super friendly to him, so I don't blame him.
Again, I harken back to Jed's comment about it being the vocal minority online. Yes, cool. If you want to eat up Twitter, which, by the way, the Big Red Junkies
yeah.
Twitter account, we are not buying new trucks with the Bitcoin, just as a heads up. It did get hacked. Don't respond to or vote for anything that might be sent to you. Links from that account. We have not been able to reclaim that account from Twitter. Been working on that for a couple weeks now. But
If you want to, I'm on at Jed Burks on Twitter. You can follow me, and I'll post all the Big Red Junkie stuff on there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, also, fuck you, whoever stole our
Yeah,
account.
that
All
too.
right, guy.
we're getting off the rails here, guys. This is boring shit. I want to get back to what we're
Yes.
talking about here with Matt Rhule and a little bit of the attitude change and things like that. My question to you is this: we talked a little bit about at the end of the season last year. What kind of I call it an identity crisis? Is this the new Matt Rhule that we expect to see moving forward? Is this going to be all business? No fluff. I'm curious to see if his podcast comes back, things like that.
no, I don't think there's any chance that podcast comes back.
I think this is the Matt Rule we have until the season starts, and then a lot of it depends on how we play.
So I guess I'll add a question onto that what you just said. Now that spring game is over, we've heard him after the spring game in his spring game press conference. When is the next time we hear from Matt Rhule between now and the Big Ten media days? Do you think we hear from him at all?
I would
In a mass situation, I mean, like,
I would probably be shocked
I agree.
because of the fact that they didn't do anything all January and February as far as media stuff goes. And when you think back to
he's not on McAfee every other weekend.
no, and when you think back to last year after the spring game was over, which was a month later,
Mhm.
but after that, between then and Big Ten media days, we really didn't hear anything.
No, I mean he was out and about last year because everybody wanted to talk about the whole year 3 stuff and
That's fair.
stuff like that. But
And they're still going to be doing what is their Monday or Tuesday nights Husker show with the university, at least till the end of school. They'll still be doing those.
yeah,
But outside of that, like press conferences, things like that, I'd be shocked to see it because they've got a recruiting window coming up now that
yeah. Like I said, I'm talking mass media stuff. Whether it's a press conference, whether it's national shows, whether it's Rome or McAfee or things like that. when do you think the next time we
Unless something
hearing it on the Husker Sports Network does not count.
unless something big happens, we won't.
I agree. And again, that's different than what we've seen of Rule since he got here.
Very different.
I mean, he's established. He doesn't really need to hype people up about his presence.
Yeah.
He's here. now.
Well, I mean, we are still trying to reclaim the brand and promote the brand and those things. And like that's still part of recruiting. I do also think there's a little bit of that part of recruiting that we're starting to get away from. And you're not just seeing it here, you're seeing it kind of all over the place. There's a lot of coaches that have taken a step back from the limelight to, promote their programs and do all those things. Because I think a lot of kids see through that.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, and
They should. Right now, it's about dollars and cents.
I was
What
gonna
kind
say,
of a product are you putting on the field?
it's winning, and it's how much are you going to pay me?
We got to prove the winning part right. But looking at the spring game, Jed, give me a couple pointers that you saw from the spring game that you loved.
First and foremost, it's a spring game. I've been saying it forever. It's very hard to take too much from the spring game for 1,000 different reasons, but one of them is like, the offense, no matter which side of the ball, which side of the Huskers or Nebraska that you want to go with this year's spring game, as a whole, they rushed for 370 rushing yards. So it's like, okay, cool. The rushing offense is great, but then you would say the rushing defense sucks. Now, it's kind of 6 of one, half dozen the other, depending on how you want to look at it. Most of those rushing yards were against the second or third string teams. So,
Not to mention a lot of the, not a lot, but some of those yards came off of what would have been sacks on the quarterback.
Yes. But also, like, there was a handful of the starting defensive players that didn't play.
Mhm.
So that's going to restrict a lot of it. But overall, Anthony Colandrea played, I think, pretty well, pretty consistent to what we expect from Anthony Colandrea. He only played in the first half. He went like 12 of 19 passing. He had 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Bad interception, whether you want to blame the quarterback or blame the wide receiver for not putting 2 hands up to catch the ball, Quasi Gilmore. But actually, we're watching it right now, and that literally just happened.
Yeah, it's a bad effort by the receiver.
Yeah, but this is what you're going to get from Anthony Colandrea. You're going to get a shit ton of really good plays, but then you're going to get some turnovers, and you're going to love him and hate him all in like a 30-second window.
One thing that I really liked watching him play is just how comfortable he looks on the field and with
I
the
agree.
guys. He's out there joking around, having a good time. Clearly, they've welcomed him, no problem. And he seems like he's having a fun time.
I agree.
Here's the other side of that with
Go ahead.
Anthony Colandrea to go back to kind of comparing him to what we came from with Dylan Raiola.
Mhm.
What is one of the major gripes you heard a lot of people use about Raiola as his time was winding down here? It was he's afraid to shoot it downfield.
Get too safe.
He's holding on to the ball too long, trying to make the perfect throw. He's completely unwilling to throw into tight coverage. Like the guy was just afraid of putting the ball in harm's way and somehow still managed to throw a bunch of picks, which was crazy.
He has talented wide receivers that doesn't just let him like go up and get the ball.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And so that's, oftentimes you see it in elections. You see a presidential election where you've got wild, crazy hair on fire. We're going to go nuts, nuts, nuts. And well, that was too much. We got to swing back the other way. And you go completely opposite side of the spectrum to, oh my God, is that guy actually actively dead?
Or
I'm
even-
not sure.
Or even hiring coaches. You hire one a
Exactly.
defensive coach, the next one's going to be an offensive coach.
Bo Pelini was angry, grumpy defense. Let's go get the ice cream man
Yep.
and Mike Riley.
Yep.
Oh, well, that didn't work too bad. Well, let's go bring home the big tough former Nebraska guy
Yep.
that knows exactly how it's supposed to be done, and he's going to grind.
Yep.
And then you swing back, and I don't think we went as far back in the opposite
Did you say
direction. with Matt
grind,
Rhule.
or snort?
Same thing. in
Okay,
his book.
sorry.
You have to grind it before you snort it.
Yeah.
Uh,
it's snowing.
It's a cocaine joke, folks. It's cocaine. But I don't think we swung back as far on that side of things on Matt Rhule. But that's kind of what we've done with Anthony Colandrea here. We went from a guy who was completely terrified of throwing the tight windows and throwing the deep ball, and he had the arm to do all those things. over to a guy that's like, cool.
No,
I don't
he's a
give
gunslinger.
fuck.
He's a
just gonna say
gunslinger.
100%. He reminds me of Brett Favre a little bit in the way that he's just like, cool, YOLO, and if it doesn't work, we'll get another shot at it.
You know what? He only gave us a couple in this game because he only played in the first half.
Yeah.
But in the spring game, he did have a couple of those throws where it's like, how the fuck did he get that ball in there? The one with Ja'Cory Barney on the sideline.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Great throw.
Yeah.
And see, those are balls that would have been way overled to try and keep it away from the defender.
Mhm.
Well,
Or out of bounds.
and then like three plays later with the touchdown catch by Quinn Clark, that would have been thrown instead of behind him as a back shoulder one that Quinn Clark had with one hand.
To the
They
back
were
corner.
thrown over the top, back, corner of the end zone type stuff.
Yeah.
Because he's a tall wide receiver, and it just wouldn't have worked.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a much different style of quarterback than what we're gonna see.
But it's going to draw ire.
Yeah.
It is going to make people mad at points because I'm telling you right now, there's going to be a game or two, probably going to happen when we go up to Eugene or something like that, where, oh, damn, he threw 3 or 4 picks today.
Mhm.
That's not good.
You know what? I'm going to tell you this right now. If he throws 4 interceptions and we win the game, I'm not going to give a
Oh,
fuck.
well, yeah.
No, but I'm
Four
saying-
interceptions and 5 touchdowns, I'm cool with.
I'm saying he's gonna have a game or two this next year where people are gonna be able to say, well, we lost because he threw 3 picks.
And
Yeah.
It might happen, yeah.
Or he was being careless running with the ball and it got knocked down.
One of the things that Michael Severe has been saying this entire offseason is that he believes that Anthony Colandrea will be top 5 in the conference in total yards, whether, rushing and passing. But he will also be top 5 in the conference in turnovers with interceptions and fumbles.
I could totally see
So
it.
it's like, again, you're going to love him 1 minute and you're going to hate him the next minute.
I can totally see it. And you know what? I think for, especially for where we are as a program and what we expect out of everything else, do we agree with this? Yes, we lost Emmett Johnson. But outside of losing Emmett Johnson, do we agree that every single position group on the roster, on the offensive side of the ball at least, got an upgrade? It is better than anything that we've had since Rule's been here.
Um,
I think the jury is out on the receivers.
I think this is by far and away the most talented receiver group we've had.
I don't think the jury's out on the receivers because legitimately we only lost Dane Key,
Yeah, but we've only added 1 receiver.
Quasi Gilmore.
We didn't need to add a bunch though.
No, yeah.
Right.
Like, we really-
you said upgrade. So that's
Yeah,
my my thing. I don't know if you're upgrading. You have
You're
the same
upgrading because you're
players.
putting another year of experience on
Sure,
under
in
the
that
belt
way,
of
then
those
yes.
guys. And on top of that, like that was already, in my opinion, probably the strongest position group on the offensive side of the ball. And we added a dude who matches the production last season, matches the production and experience of our best receiver from last year.
I mean, I think the obvious answer is we didn't upgrade the wide receiver room, or we were just talking about the wide receiver room. We didn't upgrade the running back room because we didn't add anybody.
Didn't we though?
We didn't.
Because look at what Jamal Rule looks like he's capable of.
I mean, maybe, but I mean, he's still just a true freshman, and
That's okay.
we'll
That's
see
fair.
what happens. Like
That's fair. Losing Emmett Johnson, you got to factor that. That's fine.
And it's great what he did in the spring game. He had that 75-yard touchdown run. He had over 100 yards total in the spring game. But again, it was in the most of his yards were in the second half when the no names were playing. So it's kind of like he has done it. I think he has probably done enough in the spring season to require playing time, whether it's just what he's done in general. But there's a lot of people that said that he was at the practices for the bowl game because he had already graduated and everything else. And you can actually practice in the bowl game.
We had like 8 people. Yeah.
But since the practice at the bowl games into now, he's already gained like 10 to 15 pounds. He has talked about how he might want to gain 5 or 10 more pounds. So he's
You're talking about Jamal Rule?
Yeah.
Did you see the picture of him standing next to Emmett Johnson?
No.
One of the big gripes of him coming out of high school was, oh wow, he's got all these amazing stats, but he wasn't super highly recruited because he was too small.
Yeah.
Small guy. If Emmett Johnson's going to be the second or third or fourth running back off the board in the NFL draft, and he's not too small to do what he did last year, go pull up the picture of him standing next to Jamal Rule. Jamal Rule makes him look small.
Yeah.
Like Jamal Rule is a big dude now.
Oh yeah, no, he's definitely got the size. It's just whether or not he's got this experience to be able to actually do it. One of the things that I heard the other day, Mitch Sherman on the Locked On Nebraska podcast, he brought up it looks like Rule has done enough to gain playing time for this upcoming season. But the last time Nebraska has had a true freshman running back get 500 or more yards in a season is 2002 with David Horn.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's not like this happens a lot at Nebraska. Granted, to be fair, it doesn't happen a lot as far as running backs getting more than one guy over 500 yards for Nebraska because we haven't had the most stellar offense lately.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're going back 24 years now that we've had even a second guy that's a true freshman get over 500 yards rushing.
That's fair.
So,
We went a long time without having to use young running backs.
yes.
That's just kind of part of it. But
But you've got guys like Amir Abdullah and Rex
Yeah.
Burkhead that were utilized.
Rex wasn't really playing as a freshman, though.
No, and even like Amir Abdullah, he was more of a kick returner and stuff like that as a
Yeah.
true freshman. I'm just saying he got on the field. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. I think
Outside of that, the line is definitely going to look a lot better this year.
Yes.
At least I think.
that's the big
We
thing.
said that last year too, so we got to.
It's also one of those, like, is the defensive front actually upgraded or better at all? I don't know yet. I think the jury's out on that. You can't really tell that much in the spring game because that's one thing that they've got to break a lot of old habits.
We also didn't
in
have
both
both
those
those
groups.
defensive line playing, right?
So real quickly, just to stick with the offense before we jump into the defense, I also do want to bring up, you talked about the wide receiver group. Quinn Clark, to me, kind of shined in the spring game. I know he only had the one catch for the touchdown for 8 yards, but he had a handful of other targets where I believe he was open. The quarterback just missed him. But to me, I've been hyping up Quinn Clark ever since he got recruited. Some of it, I'll be fair, because I'm the old guy in the room, and I watched his dad, Ken Clark, play, and he was so fun to watch. Excuse me. But so some of it is I just want him to be good, but he's a 6'5", 210 guy.
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, so we have an Isaiah Hunter who wasn't able to play in the spring game because he hurt his hamstring. And then you have a Quasi Gilmer who transferred from UCLA. We've got Ja'Cory Barney, obviously. So we've got good wide receivers specifically. Do you see a scenario where maybe a Quinn Clark, with gaining more and more experience, could break that top 3 wide receivers this year? I'm not talking about like starting position and stuff I'm talking stats.
I don't know that much about Quasi Gilmore to have a good opinion on that.
So Quasi Gilmer last year had a little over 500 receiving yards last year at UCLA, which would have put him at second for Nebraska last year.
He basically matched an Isaiah Hunter.
Yeah.
He would have been neck and neck with Isaiah
He would have been
Hunter as our
right
best wide
behind
receiver.
Hunter, right behind Hunter
Yeah.
as far as stats go. But so like I'm kind of like very curious as to whether or not Quinn Clark can get in that top 3 as far as statistically, whether it's catches or yards. I'm more leaning towards yards than catches, because I just think that he can be kind of more of a little bit of a deep threat type guy. But
I think it'll be close. I think he has the opportunity for sure because he'll get plenty of playing time. It really kind of comes down to the balls that are thrown. When he's on the field, does he get a lot of those touches, or are they going somewhere else because he's pulling guys off?
like I said, he got a handful of opportunities. I know he only had the one catch for 8 yards, but they threw the ball to him a couple of times, and it just didn't work out that way in the spring game. But I was really intrigued by seeing the opportunity that he had in the spring game of the potential for him this upcoming season.
He is not a bad fourth option.
Yeah.
He's also the only body on our team that is like that.
Yeah.
I mean, the next closest thing to him, it would be what's his name?
Mills?
Ainsworth boy.
Oh.
Carter Nelson.
Oh, yeah.
And Carter Nelson, to my knowledge, didn't have a target or a catch in this game. I'm not really sure. I know he didn't have a catch. But the big question for me to get to your question or to your answer on that is Cortez Mills. Because Cortez Mills had a couple games last year where he flashed out as a true freshman.
Yep.
And the guy has undeniable talent.
I agree.
So it's a matter of time for him to get on the field and start taking some of the snaps away because he also has more of the big body type wide receiver, downfield threat type guy. But I think we like 1 through 5, possibly even 1 through 6 on our wide receiver depth chart is stellar.
I agree.
We've got if you look across the Big Ten at the wide receiver depth charts that are out there, we probably have a top 5 wide receiver roster.
I like it.
That's kind of where I am with that. That's also why, like, to your point, it's kind of tough to say we massively upgraded our wide receiver room.
That's
I think
got
more
it.
than anything, it's just the extra experience coming out of this year.
Yeah.
And another year of coaching, because I really think as he's running across, that's Corey Campbell, but I think DeKel Schwartz is a really good wide receivers coach. That's just gonna help things. But to finish off though on the offensive side, like I was getting to with the lines, I think it's really difficult to kind of look at the spring game and get a good feel for whether or not the offensive line looks massively upgraded or the defensive line looks any better. I think when you look at the bodies and you look at the talent level that's on our offensive line now with the transfers that we brought in, combined with the coaching of a real offensive line coach, I think you have to say that you assume that it's upgraded. They look bigger. They definitely run block better. And they got into some more complex schemes that you would expect to see in a spring game, blocking schemes that I think that they did really well.
I think the offensive line looked really well. But again, it goes back to the whole thing of if one side does good in the spring game, does that mean the other side sucks?
100%.
The defense didn't really do a whole lot. Like, they weren't very exotic or anything like that. So it's kind of like, yes, did the offensive line
you
look
had a
good?
corner blitz come up in a spring game. That's pretty.
Like once, maybe. But yeah, so it's kind of like,
Yeah.
I do think that the offensive line looked good. But at the same time, it's like, the defense didn't really do a whole lot.
It's a spring game. That's it.
Yeah.
Somebody that I know you're massively anticipating gushing about. I'm going to go ahead and bring him up now.
Oh, yeah.
Jasir Whittington. So that guy has such an interesting story when it comes to the fact that he was under recruited, but he has that. They kept referring to it as the twitch, right?
Mm-hmm.
Rule even mentioned it. But
quick twitch.
He is one of those like wildly undersized interior defensive linemen that the only person that it makes me think of when you hear people talk about him and when you actually just look at him, like look at like the body, the frame, kind of reminds me of Aaron Donald a little bit. He's slightly smaller than him, but his whole goal, like
how tall was Aaron Donald?
He talked about he was like 6'1", 6'2".
Okay, because Whittington is 6 foot. So.
Yeah, so he talked, but Aaron Donald was undersized to be interior defensive lineman in the NFL and be nearly as good as he was. Mm-hmm. But it was the same type of deal. He's got that, like, he's just a split second faster than everybody else in front of him, and that's why he can make some of the moves that he has. And that's some of the excitement of the clips that I've seen from him, and then watching him in the spring game is, and he actually openly talked about it apparently in an interview after the spring game, that they had him listed at 270, playing at like 270 or 272.
No, they
had
him listed at 270. He was at 250.
Yeah.
He says, yeah.
But since he's gotten here, he's already put on like 10 to 15 pounds, and they want to put another 10 to 15 more pounds on.
Yeah.
And he doesn't feel like he's any athletic playing that much bigger. So.
Yeah, and it's funny because he's literally listed at 270 on Nebraska's thing, and he said he's like, I'm at 260, maybe 270, and the reporters asked him like, how much more weight do you want to put on? He goes, maybe 10, 15 pounds, depending on how my body reacts to it. And I can still play the way that I am and stuff.
Somebody
like that.
on the defensive line like that, you can add that weight and not impact their game that much. So,
well, I mean, to be
just
fair,
whether or not it's his speed right off the line.
To be fair, he's already added 10 to 15. He needs to see what the next 5 to 10 does to him. But one of the reasons why I love him, because I'd heard a lot of stories about him even before the spring started, that he might be a guy that I would like to kind of gush over, but.
He always picks one to have a random nerd in the middle of a Monday or Tuesday.
Pony out of the herd.
I just hope he doesn't turn into a jackass and go to Florida State like that other dickbag did. But,
what happened to wish them well?
Yeah, fuck off.
Yeah. Dude, haven't you heard Rule enough? No more Nebraska nice.
Yeah, he didn't wish us.
You're not here. You go fuck yourself.
He didn't wish us well, so screw off. But the funny thing is about it's not just about watching him play. It's also listening to them in press conferences and interview situations. So, like after the spring game, he had a side interview. He wasn't at the podium, but if you go and listen to him on the side, it's so funny because apparently his nickname is Bread, and it's a nickname he gave himself. And
These defensive linemen and their food nicknames.
he even admitted, he goes, "I know that there's a rule against like giving yourself a nickname," but he goes, "I rewrote the rule. I don't really care." And it's like, so the nickname he gave himself was Bread. I don't know why, or
Maybe he likes bread.
what the fuck
Maybe
that
he really
even
likes
means.
bread.
But he goes, it's just more of a mentality, and the way that I like to pump myself up before a game. I'd like to just tell myself, "Be Bread." And it's like,
I don't know what that means.
I don't either.
I kind of wish
Nobody knows what it means.
I kind of
provocative.
kind of wish you hadn't told me this story because I just don't understand.
I just want more. I want more information.
I want more
But
bread.
the funny thing about that interview after the spring game was he said that. He goes, I just tell myself, "Be Bread." Not one reporter goes, "What does that mean?"
That's our local media reporters for you though that are just so enamored with.
Yeah.
Oh, he's a
They're
new
like,
toy.
oh,
Let's play.
bread, obviously.
Yeah, bread. No, that
duh.
makes sense.
Jesus.
I can see it. You're cut up.
Like it was.
I'm gonna dip you in some egg wash and toast you.
You should stop.
And
Slather some peanut butter on
I
it.
don't want this to
and
go
say,
any
"Oui,
further.
oui, you're French toast." Like,
yeah. Boom, you're French.
no, it was just
Water absorbent.
it was one of those goofy interviews that I just love so much. It was like, dude,
I mean, you
you're
don't even
my
ask the
guy.
follow up. Like, what are you like? White bread? Are you wheat bread?
Pumpernickel,
Well, yeah,
like
yeah. Are you rye?
sourdough, like.
You could be anything here, guy.
Oh, he just listening to him talk, I was like, "You're my type of guy." I
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah, no, I definitely missed that, and that's awesome.
I want him to be good for all of the right reasons, but also I want him to be good to like be at the podium every week.
You want him to be so good that we get more bread.
I just want to be able to hear what his story is.
Yes.
I just want to hear that. Anybody else on the defensive line that kind of stood out to you at all?
They didn't do a whole lot.
Yeah, not really.
They didn't do a whole lot. I felt like they were disruptive. I felt like there were plenty
They
of
were
times
disruptive enough.
with as good as our offensive line, in my opinion, looked. There were 3 or 4 different times where it seemed like if the whistle hadn't been blown, he's probably getting stuck in the sack.
Yeah.
Or
And I'm talking about going against the starters.
Or they just didn't call the sack and the play went on.
There's that. But it's stuff like that. Like, cool, yeah, he would have gotten stopped there, but that's a totally different. You guys can't see what we're talking about. Anthony Colandrea just took off and ran up the middle for probably what would have been roughly an 8 to 10 yard game.
In the second to last play of the first half, if you're going back to watch this, that's exactly what we just watched.
It's stuff like that I think is going to completely change the dynamic of our offense.
Yes.
The offense itself doesn't have to change that much. We have a guy who's more willing to throw the ball into tight spaces and against coverage, and a guy who's willing to take off and can take off and run when we need to. But back to the defensive line side of things, heard that Van Poppel held himself nicely. I rewatching it, he didn't stand out to me, which means he didn't make a bunch of mistakes, but he also didn't make a bunch of splash plays.
There was a guy that on the defense that stood out like crazy because he had double-digit tackles. Derek Wacker, who was mostly a special teams guy, and yes, his last name is Wacker, but
does he go by Weed?
no,
Oh,
he goes by Derek.
Okay.
But he was a guy that like stood out a lot. When the game first happened, I just listened to it on the radio with Damon and Kyle Crooks calling, and man, they said Wacker's name every other play. It was crazy. He was everywhere.
I hope he gets a sack and they can go, "That's Wacker on the sacker."
I hope they don't.
Somebody that I did hear a couple people bemoan a bit about was Winery. Kind of seemed like he was not running with the ones, and kind of seemed like he was almost disinterested. I hope we're not losing him.
No, I'm not worried about it because even like with the my guy, they have this so-called cheetah package where it's Williams Nwaneri, Cam Lenhart, and
The new guy.
Jones,
Your favorite guy.
Yeah, but there was another guy that I'm brain farting on his name. Anyway, it's a speed rush package on the defensive line. So like Winery's part of the group.
And I heard
Like-
Whittington was in on that too.
Whittington and again, that's what was throwing me off is the fourth guy. But anyway, we'll figure that out in another scenario. But if they have a package called the Cheetah package and Winery is part of it, I'm not worried about what he did or did not do in the spring game.
That's fair. That's fair.
So they've got things that are built around him.
Do you make much of Jeremiah Charles getting the starting run?
I think he's the starting defensive back on the other side of Andrew Marshall.
See, now that's a development from the end of the season.
Yeah.
That's something new.
You know, everybody's going to try to say that it's Odom, the 5-star kid recruit.
Well,
that's going to be the other side.
he also looked good.
But I think it's going to be Jeremiah Charles.
It's about time.
Yeah.
The guy has been the jump out of the gym freak athlete that just need to figure out how to play football.
Yeah.
He's going to be a redshirt junior this year. Is that right?
You know,
Well, and you've
that whole thing, I don't know. But
and you've now got a second year in the system of those DBs being under Williams, and we know he's a great coach. At least he showed it was last year. And so you throw that on the combination of the fact that we've now got Oregon here that is running a defense that actually makes sense to people.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it was something as simple as he didn't quite understand the concepts he was being asked to play before.
I mean, there were other guys in front of him that were
That's fair.
experienced and
That's
everything
fair.
else. But yes, same thing. Yeah, and yes, Jeremiah Charles is a junior this year.
But he's also another big-bodied freak.
Yes,
A little bit.
He's an athletic freak.
Yeah.
Like whether he's big bodied or not, he's an athletic freak. He's 6 foot 175. Like
Dude,
I'll take him.
The reason I was asking is he now has 4 years under his belt.
Yeah.
I was excited by the fact that I saw Vincent Shaver's name at the top of a defensive list too.
And not just that, but everybody's saying how he's slimmed down because he hasn't had to deal with his injury issues that he had most of the season and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So yes, I like that a lot. You know, and one of the other things again with some of the defensive guys that didn't play, like Owen Chambliss, Dexter Foster, who will definitely play as one. You know, whether or not he's a
One of
starter,
the
is
starting
a different.
safeties, I thought.
No, linebacker, the guy from Oregon State.
Oh yeah. My bad.
He's an inside guy, isn't he?
There's enough new guys on the back end of that defense that my brain's not got
Yes.
him quite in
No.
the right spots
Yeah.
yet.
We'll get it figured out by the season starting. But
Yeah, you look at this depth chart and literally more than half of them were all.
yeah.
Yeah.
But the point is that there were a handful of defensive guys that will be not just a starter, but a giant factor in defense that didn't play in the spring game. So, you can look at whatever stats the offense had put up or anything else like that and be like, that's great. But at the same time, the defense wasn't at 100% strength either.
Yeah.
So
We're going to get a little bit of cream rises to the top based on just the fact that we're now one of the youngest teams in the Big Ten getting a year older.
Mhm.
And some of those guys are going to start to separate. There's probably going to be a few surprises this year. Like, in my opinion, Jamal Charles is one of them. And that's awesome.
I hope so, because we've talked about Jamal Charles ever since he got recruited in the high school gym playing basketball and all that stuff. That he is an athletic freak, and I'm very happy to hear that there's a potential that he's going to be one of the dudes.
Yes.
So, as much as I want to see the 5-star kids play as much as possible, having a guy that's been here for 3 to 4 years, wait his turn and level up his play and learn and all those things is also a great thing too. So
Also love to see Archie Wilson out there averaging 5 punts for basically 42.5 yards. That's
and
that's
there's
pretty
another
solid.
Australian out there that was punting too. He had a really good punt.
Oh, I
too.
didn't hear about this.
Yeah.
Are they multiplying?
Yeah, they are.
They do have more than one person in Australia.
Well, okay.
Not anymore.
I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. I guess in the game it was only Archie Wilson, but there was at one point, like during some of the timeouts or maybe at halftime, they had like a little exhibition, and the other Australian punter that I don't know his name at the moment because he's just a punter. He was kicking like 49-yard, 50-yard punts into the wind, stuff like that, just to show off his legs. So. We've got options.
He needs to go cry at the podium so all of Nebraska falls in love with him.
Yeah.
That was not a shot, by the way.
Nope, that's
That's
it's
just
life.
a joke. Just a joke, folks. That's pretty much a wrap on the spring game, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You didn't see much, just like most spring games. You don't see much.
Nope.
As far as the crowd goes, I thought the crowd was better than I expected it to be. I was pegging 15 to 20,000. They announced that 10 or 12,000 tickets had been sold like 3 days prior. And so I kind of thought to myself, well, based on all the money that people probably spent traveling to go see, the basketball team play and things like that, there was a lot of other stuff going on this year, and spring being a month earlier.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
And so it's completely excusable to not have gone to the spring game. It's also, we had this like rush to build spring games up as fast as we possibly could. And it's a big moneymaker for the program and all this stuff. They don't need that anymore.
No.
Which is evident by the fact that they decided to donate all proceeds from the game to the farmers that are dealing with the fire stuff in Western Nebraska, which I think is cool as hell.
Yep.
Big shout out to the university for that stuff. But
also it's like, it's not an anomaly to have 27,000+. It's an anomaly to have 80,000.
Yeah.
So what we had was great for a spring game.
It'll probably get back there.
Clemson, and Clemson's fan base is just as thirsty and strong.
And by
as
the way, theirs
Nebraska's
was
is.
free.
Yeah.
And they had like nobody there. But also we have, again, going back to Whittington, the transfer from Pitt, in his post spring game press conference, he talked about this was the most people he's ever seen at a spring game, and he thought it was phenomenal and all those things.
Yeah.
You have players that don't know the experience of having people at a spring game. So to have 28,000 people there, it's still a really good thing. And for anybody to shit on it, fuck off.
Michael Sarikis is the other Australian, by the way.
Oh, thank you for digging that up.
Mm-hmm. Did you pronounce that correctly? Or
I sure hope so. There's a lot of eyes in there.
Looking forward to the rest of the offseason.
I am too.
It sounded like Rule was like, cool, straight up, we're right back into the gym.
Yep.
Now, this is now a time to build and grow for the people. This is the one thing too, and when I was on the Husker Army pod a couple weeks ago, we kind of talked about this a little bit and why they had backed it up and all these things, and that it was very odd that they gave a whole week off, the week before the last week of spring practice and stuff like that.
I mean, it was a school spring break, so
yeah, but it's just also strange to break momentum like that in the middle of a tight spring camp. That's what this is.
I didn't know that they get an extra 5 weeks with these guys for development stuff.
Well, essentially, you have the same amount of time that you would normally have. It's just that they're putting a lot of that weight room work after the spring game instead of before.
Yeah.
And so it's the same amount of time. It's just that the one huge benefit, in my opinion, is anybody that got injured in scrimmaging and spring game like this, they're able to have an extra month before the season starts to get healthy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's going to be kind of a big thing. There's also going to be a pretty obvious, massive influx of, hey, we need to be bigger.
Mm-hmm.
We need to be bigger and stronger, because by the end of the season, when we were playing the big boy teams, we were not looking like a big boy team. We were getting pushed around by Iowa. We were getting pushed around by Penn State. There were times we were getting pushed around by USC. And USC, in my opinion, I would put on par with us size-wise last year, but it didn't seem like our conditioning was there as well. It didn't seem like our strength was there.
I mean, that's one of the
Corey Campbell's touted as a big-time trainer, so
that's one of the things that I brought up with like the whole Jamal Rule stuff. Like, he's already gained a handful of weight. He's looking to gain more. And more than likely, he will probably look really good in the first 3 to 4 games of this season because of the way that our schedule lines up. What will he be able to hold up to as the season continues from there? And as a true freshman, not knowing the physicality of the Big Ten, that will be a question for him. And I guess we'll find out.
that's very fair. I do think with the amount of usage that he saw the last 2 years of high school, because he was a bell cow of bell cows. I mean, he rushed for 1,362 yards, 16 touchdowns as a senior, and 1,236 yards the year before.
Mm-hmm.
That is, and that 1,200 yards came in 7 games. He was being used and used and used and abused, very similar to the type of wear that we put on Emmett Johnson last year. I'm not saying a high school racket,
I get
regardless of the level. I don't care if he's playing at IMG. He's not getting the wear and tear of a full Big Ten season.
The obvious response is that's not against Big Ten opponents.
Yes.
I know where you're going. Yeah.
The good thing is that he does have that type of service in it. So that's really all I've got, guys. I'm excited about the offseason. I'm excited to kind of dive more into learning more about this roster and the new people that are coming up. We're going to get back to doing weekly shows, getting content out for you guys on a regular basis. We appreciate everybody who stopped back in for this first show back after a long break, and we'll be getting back with you soon.
And this may be the most unbelievable night in Cornhusker football history.